Imagine a world where the company that literally invented the digital camera, the technology we all now use daily, somehow managed to completely fall apart because of it. A company so dominant, so ingrained in the fabric of global culture, that its name was synonymous with photography itself. In 1975, Kodak's own engineer, Stephen Sasson, developed the first digital camera. It was a revolutionary moment, yet, within decades, the empire he helped build was crumbling, seemingly destroyed by the very innovation it pioneered. How could the company that saw the future, and even created it, completely fail to capitalize on it, leading to one of the most stunning corporate collapses in history? To truly understand the tragic downfall of Kodak, we need to rewind to its golden age. For most of the 20th century, Kodak wasn't just a company, it was an institution. Founded by George Eastman in 1888, Kodak democratized photography, making it accessible to the masses with its simple slogan, "You push the button, we do the rest." They didn't just sell cameras, they sold an entire ecosystem. Film, paper, chemicals, processing services. Kodak controlled every single step of the photographic journey. This wasn't merely a market share, it was a near monopoly, a cultural phenomenon. Everyone had a Kodak moment. Family vacations, graduations, birthdays, they were all captured on Kodak film, processed by Kodak, and printed on Kodak paper. The company's vibrant yellow and red logo was ubiquitous, a symbol of permanence and quality. Profits soared, and Kodak became a blue-chip stock, a titan of industry. Their research and development labs were legendary, attracting some of the brightest minds in the world. It was in one of these very labs, in 1975, that electrical engineer Stephen Sasson, under the directive to build an electronic still camera using a charge-coupled device, or CCD, unveiled his prototype. It weighed 8 pounds, recorded black and white images at 0.01 megapixels, and took 23 seconds to capture an image. Revolutionary, yes, but its potential to disrupt Kodak's incredibly lucrative film business was instantly recognized, and perhaps immediately feared. The stage was set for a monumental internal conflict, a clash between a thriving but traditional present and an uncertain but inevitable future. Here's where the true mystery deepens. The first layers of corporate self-sabotage begin to emerge. Sasson presented his invention to his superiors, meticulously demonstrating its capabilities. The response? Not an immediate rush to market, not a pivot in strategy, but a chilling statement. "That's cute, but don't tell anyone about it." The initial fear within Kodak was palpable. Digital, they reasoned, would cannibalize their immensely profitable film business, a business generating billions. They saw it not as an opportunity to lead a new market, but as a direct threat to their existing cash cow. This wasn't a one-off dismissal. Over the subsequent decades, Kodak continued to pour resources into digital research, accumulating hundreds of patents related to digital imaging. Patents they would later license to competitors. They were, in essence, building the very weapons that would be used against them. They understood the technology better than anyone, yet their organizational structure, their entire corporate identity, was inextricably linked to chemicals and film. It was like a dinosaur knowing the asteroid was coming, but being unable to evolve wings. They developed some of the earliest digital cameras for professional use, even launched the first consumer digital camera, the Apple QuickTake 100, which was actually built by Kodak for Apple in 1994. Yet, each foray into digital was tentative, half-hearted, hobbled by a corporate culture that perceived digital as a secondary, less important market. Meanwhile, competitors like Sony, Canon, and Nikon, unburdened by a legacy film business, were aggressively investing and innovating, rapidly improving resolution, storage, and processing. Kodak still made money, primarily from its film sales, which lulled management into a false sense of security, believing they had time, believing film would make a comeback, or perhaps simply refusing to believe their empire could truly crumble. The internal resistance to fully embracing digital was legendary. Film executives, who held significant power, actively stifled digital initiatives, fearing for their own departments and budgets. It became a tale of internal factions, of a company fighting itself, while the world outside rapidly shifted around it. They even tried to create a hybrid strategy, offering digital cameras but then still encouraging printing photos at Kodak kiosks. It was a confused, contradictory message to consumers who increasingly just wanted to view and share images digitally. The real crisis began to accelerate into the new millennium. By the early 2000s, the digital revolution was in full swing, and Kodak was being left behind. Their market share plummeted. The rise of camera phones delivered the final devastating blow, making dedicated digital cameras, for many, obsolete. In a desperate attempt to stay relevant, Kodak embarked on a series of ill-fated diversification strategies. They ventured into printers, trying to emulate their film and print model by offering cheap printers but expensive ink. It failed miserably. They dipped their toes into pharmaceuticals, then health imaging, then even batteries. Anything but a full, unreserved embrace of the digital photography market they had pioneered. Each venture was a costly failure, draining billions from the company's dwindling reserves. They tried to pivot to become a leader in photo-sharing websites, but again, Flickr and later Instagram captured the imagination of consumers, offering seamless, intuitive experiences that Kodak's clunky platforms couldn't match. The company, once a beacon of innovation, was now a reactive, struggling giant, constantly playing catch-up, but always a step behind. Their vast patent portfolio, once a source of strength, became a primary source of revenue as they sold off intellectual property to stay afloat. It was a slow, agonizing decline, punctuated by waves of layoffs, plant closures, and the erosion of employee morale. The pride of working at Kodak, once immense, was replaced by a sense of dread and uncertainty. The company that had defined photography for over a century was now a shadow of its former self, a cautionary tale unfolding in real time. What they discovered next, or rather, what they consistently failed to implement, changed everything for them. It was the crushing realization that their traditional business model was not just declining, but utterly collapsing, and their attempts to switch lanes were too little, too late, and often misguided. And so, on January 19, 2012, after years of struggling and massive losses, the once unassailable titan Eastman Kodak Company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It was a somber day for Rochester, New York, the city Kodak had built, and for the countless employees and retirees whose lives were inextricably linked to the company. The yellow and red logo, once a symbol of photographic joy, now stood as a monument to corporate inertia. Kodak eventually emerged from bankruptcy in 2013, a much smaller, radically restructured company, focusing primarily on commercial printing, packaging, and enterprise services, a far cry from the consumer photography giant it once was. The story of Kodak is more than just a business case study. It's a profound lesson in the perils of complacency, the difficulty of organizational change, and the destructive power of fear of cannibalizing your own success. They had the foresight to invent the future, yet lacked the courage and internal agility to fully embrace and lead it. To this day, the question lingers. If Kodak had fully committed to digital in 1975, if they had disrupted their own highly profitable film business with the same vigor that George Eastman once used to disrupt dry plate photography? Would we be talking about Apple, Sony, or Samsung dominating the digital imaging world? Or would Kodak still be at the forefront? We may never know the truth of what could have been, but its legacy serves as a chilling reminder to all industries. Innovate or die. If you want more mysteries like this, the next video explores the secret history behind the creation of artificial intelligence. Don't miss it.